A woman named Michelle T. started Drag Queen Story Hours in San Francisco almost a decade ago. The idea was to promote, first, reading, of course, and to promote themes of acceptance, diversity, and self-expression. But as drag story hours grew in popularity across the country, a backlash emerged. People said they were exposing children to diverse gender expression and fluidity too early. Of course, supporters and many experts say that's good, that it supports children's natural development. This clash of views hit hard in one small community in the southern Adirondacks this year, and it caused the library to close. Not for a day or a week, but for now, just closed. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Pearsall Wealth Management at UBS Wealth Management USA, subsidiary UBS AG, member FINRA SIPC, 1 Broad Street, Glens Falls.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Monday, December 11th. First up, a ruling from a federal appeals court says that New York State can continue to enforce laws banning firearms in certain sensitive locations. WXXI's Randy Gorman reports.
The ruling on Friday from the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals issued a more than 260-page decision, its first broad review of a host of new gun rules passed in the state after a landmark Supreme Court ruling last year. State Attorney General Letitia James praised the decision to permit the state to enforce critical parts of the concealed carry improvement law, including keeping guns away from places like schools, hospitals, parks, and public transportation. But the 3-judge panel also blocked some aspects of New York's new gun rules, including a ban on people bringing firearms into houses of worship. The court also rejected a requirement that applicants for a handgun license turn over a list of their social media accounts, citing free speech concerns. The ruling by the appeals court is at an early stage of a legal battle, seen as eventually likely to wind up before the Supreme Court again after the justices in 2022 struck down New York's old rules for getting a license to carry a handgun outside the home. For North Country Public Radio, I'm Randy Gorman.
The public library in Lake Luzerne, near Glens Falls, has been closed for over 2 months now. The community erupted with controversy after a drag queen story time was put on the library's calendar last spring. That story hour never even actually happened, but the situation spiraled out of control. Lucy Grindon has our story.
The Rockwell Falls Public Library is supposed to serve 4 towns: Day, Hadley, Stony Creek, and Lake Luzerne. But right now, it's not serving anybody. It has no functioning board and no librarian. One clerk has been keeping the lights on, and there's only one word to describe her workdays.
Lonely, because there's no one else here and the public's not coming in, and this library isn't doing what it was made to do.
Claire Spivak says the area is rural and relatively poor. It also doesn't have great broadband internet access, so the library used to be an important resource.
A lot of people would come in here purely to use the internet, and even some who still come and park outside and use our Wi-Fi.
Alone inside, Spivak answers the phone and shelves any straggling books that get dropped in the return box. This all started because of a public controversy over a drag queen story hour this past spring. A quick note about drag queen story hours: they're just like any other story hour, but with a drag queen doing the reading. They've become popular around the country. But dozens of people were deeply divided about the idea at a meeting in April, live-streamed by a resident on Facebook.
My name's Mike Mahoney. Why are these drag queens being normalized and throughout really the country and right here in our own town?
Chelsea Fish said she didn't understand the uproar.
I want to let everyone know that this is not a mandatory thing for your kids to do.
Josh Jacquard, the pastor at local Victory Bible Baptist Church, had some of the harshest words against the drag queen story hour.
It sexualizes children, and it is absolutely wrong. Why are we not having police officer story hour? Why are we not having shop owner story hour? Why are we not having pastor story hour? Why does it have to be transvestite story hour?
The word transvestite is considered archaic and offensive by many in the LGBTQ+ community. The month after that meeting, Jacquard was elected to the library's board of trustees. He declined to be interviewed, but he said in an email that voters supported him because of his priorities, including, quote, keeping our children safe from sexualization and content that is not age-appropriate. Here's the thing. The drag queen event was postponed, and in the end, it never happened. But the controversy kept escalating.
The Drag Queen Story Hour seemed to open up Pandora's box.
That's Kathleen Jones. She served on the library's board beginning in May. At her first meeting, Jones says a member of the public demanded her opinion.
Shouting at me, do you want the Drag Queen Story Hour? Do you want the drag? And loudly. And finally, I just looked at him and I was like, yes, okay, I'm in favor of the Drag Queen Story Hour. You know, just like behaviors that had no place at a library.
Over the summer, library staff said anti-drag queen people were harassing them. At the July board meeting, the library director said staff morale was in trouble and complained about ongoing harassment. In September, she and another staff member resigned. The library closed to the public on September 26th. Under normal circumstances, the Board of Trustees would just hire a new librarian. But the board was at an impasse on almost every issue. 2 other trustees resigned in October, and Jones resigned in early November.
So by my resignation, that reduced the number of trustees to 2, and therefore there was no quorum.
That was a strategic decision on Jones's part. Since the library board no longer has a quorum, the State Board of Regents, part of the Department of Education, now has to step in to appoint 3 new trustees.
And I knew that was going to happen, and I truly think that that's what needed to happen, because it takes the governing out of the hands of the remaining trustees.
The library held another public meeting late last month, also live-streamed on Facebook, to discuss its current situation, and things got even worse.
No, you have your own agenda.
Libraries are meant to be sanctuaries of information, not hotspots of social engineering.
That's board member Josh Jacquard at the end there, saying that libraries shouldn't be hotspots of social engineering. Right after the meeting ended, there was a physical altercation involving 3 members of the public.
What is going on?
You just hit her! That was assault again!
Police were called to the library, but no charges were filed. Former trustee Kathleen Jones says it was this kind of intensity that led her to resign.
You know how many times you can bang your head into a brick wall before you say to yourself, I'm not doing this anymore? And that's what I felt like.
Other people who are interested in serving on the board have been submitting resumes to the local public library system to apply for the open spots. In the meantime, the library has remained closed. No browsing bookshelves, no public meeting spaces, no story times at all for kids. Claire Spivak, the library's lone clerk, says the community has lost one of its only shared public spaces.
It's hard to stress the importance of having a place for community members to come and simply be, where they can feel safe, secure, and welcome.
It's now up to the Board of Regents to appoint trustees to hire new staff and get the doors open again. An education department representative said in an email that their goal is to help the library reopen as soon as possible. The Board of Regents' December meeting starts today. Lucy Grindon, North Country Public Radio.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Caitlin Scholl of Lake Placid and Hart, Cox, and Legros of Malone. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.